Family Guy has done a lot over the years: musical numbers, dark jokes, and the kind of plots that make zero sense but still work. But a few episodes are better than others, which is why today we're counting down to the greatest Family Guy episodes ever. Starting with the episode where Stewie and Brian jump through alternative universes like it's just another Tuesday. The Griffins were having a wild day at the fun fair. Lois points out the insane prizes because, of course, stuffed animals are way too basic for these people. So Chris wins a carnival game and gets himself a fully grown homosexual man. Naturally, Chris asks if he can keep him.
Oh boy! Mom, can I keep him?
Well, it's a big responsibility, Chris.
Oh, yeah, the ultimate high maintenance pet. Someone who thrives on validation, just like the rest of us on social media. Then, Stewie wins a pig competition, not just any pig, mind you, a ripped one. Brian, already disturbed by the idea of a buff pig, asks where it came from.
What the hell kind of farm breeds pigs like this?
Would you like to see it for yourself, Brian?
Yeah, I would.
Good.
And what is that? A fancy way of saying technology that was forgotten immediately after it was invented. Stewie drags Brian to his room, pulls out a remote from his locker, and reveals his big secret.
This is it, Brian.
What's that?
When a baby calls you out on your intellectual game, it's time for a serious life reevaluation. Stewie presses a button and bam! They're in another universe. Brian, as usual, is lost and asks where they are.
Where are we?
Finally, a world where science focuses on buff farm animals. Forget rocket ships, let's build ripped pigs. But when he saw the future Quagmire and Meg, his mind was definitely blown. They walk around to check the tech, and after some sightseeing, Stewie hits him with the question.
You ready to go home now?
Are you kidding? This is amazing.
Yeah, because pushing random buttons on an experimental device is always a great idea, right? They travel again, landing in some weird ancient world.
Whoa, what's this place?
Next, they hit a universe where the atomic bomb was never dropped on Hiroshima, so Japan just never quit.
Something's not quite right.
According to the multiverse guide, this is a universe where the United States never dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima.
They stumble through more alternative realities, seeing Meg commit unaliving herself, Peter being Peter, and Brian finally having enough of this nonsense.
Well, I think I've seen enough. Let's get back to our universe.
All right, off we go.
Famous last words. Spoiler, they're still stuck in some nightmarish dimension. They land back home, but something's off. Peter's on the couch with two faces?
Sure thing, Lois. Delighted to. I get tired when I stand.
Perfect for those days when you can't decide whether to laugh or cry. Brian's had enough and begs Stewie to get them back home, but instead they wind up in an icy wasteland.
What the hell? Stewie, what's going on?
Great, because the one time Brian needs opposable thumbs, he's useless. But Stewie finds a way to exploit his doggy weakness.
You want to sleep in the bed with us? Yes. Oh, I never get to. Must be a special occasion. You got it. You're through.
Dogs will do anything for a spot on the bed. They hop through even crazier realities, one where everyone always has to poop, another in a Disney world, and even in the Robot Chicken universe, until they end up in a broken world.
My God, this place looks terrible.
Looks like Quahog was vaporized or something.
After more ridiculous jumps, they end up in a world where animals rule, and humans are pets. Brian, sensing a better life, refuses to leave.
What the hell were you thinking, Brian?
Ah, the Butterfingers strike again. In the end, Dog Stewie uses his own remote to bring them back home. And how do they check if they're in the right universe? Ah yes, the true test of reality. Before they leave, they bring home human Brian from that world. But now the question is, what do they do with him?
Do about this guy? We got two Brians in our universe now.
Don't worry, I don't plan to stay in Quahog.
Stewie and Brian's multiverse adventure proves that while alternate realities are fascinating, they're also a complete nightmare. Alright then, moving on to the second greatest episode of Family Guy, where Brian and Stewie are stuck in pure chaos, but in a totally different way. Forget the usual crazy cutaways or random side characters this time. It's just Brian and Stewie locked in a bank vault, no escape, and no way to ignore each other. Oh, and it gets weird fast. So it all starts with Brian at the bank, holding on to some important stuff in his safety deposit box. Stewie, of course, is curious. What could be so important that you can't just bury it in your yard? Turns out, it's a dead bird. Well done, Brian. because showing your mom a dead bird totally screams, good dog.
Why do you have a safety deposit box anyway? What's in there that you can't bury in the yard?
I have things.
Nice one, Brian. But things quickly go south. The vault locked, trapping them inside. And now, instead of a quick trip to the bank, they're stuck in this survival situation.
What was that? I don't believe this.
Sure, Stewie. Blame Brian for locking you both in. Stewie's having a mini panic attack because he's got a diaper emergency, and Brian's losing his mind.
Hello? Hello, somebody? We're trapped in here!
Meanwhile, Brian's just trying not to lose it over a dirty diaper. And then, Stewie takes it to the next level because why not? He asks Brian to change his diaper, but surprise, Brian doesn't have any extra. So, Stewie comes up with a genius solution.
I can't be in a soiled diaper until tomorrow, Brian. We both know that. I'll get a rash, which could lead to an infection if left like this.
Yeah, nothing says solid friendship like discussing diaper rashes in a bank vault. It's heartwarming, but it doesn't stop there. Stewie hits Brian with the worst possible request, telling him to eat his poop. Yep, you heard that right. It only gets weirder from here.
At this point, dogs sometimes eat feces. It's not a judgment, it's just a fact.
Stewie's negotiation skills? Absolutely wild. He starts with the worst possible demand and somehow makes it worse. Then Brian remembers Stewie's phone. Hey, let's call for help. But no, Stewie's too busy calling customer service about returning a $3,000 sweater. Great. And guess what? The phone dies. Awesome.
Give me that. Hey! Sorry, he's gonna have to call you back. It's dead.
And so, with no escape and bad fashion choices haunting them, Brian's officially done with this nonsense. Brian couldn't control his anger and he slaps Stewie. But when Stewie tries to reconcile, Brian scolds him more, which leads to Stewie crying in the corner. But things just get gross soon as Brian decides to clean his diaper at last. But after looking at that horrible sight, Stewie throws up.
It's done.
Got some dessert for you.
Who knew the worst meal ever on Family Guy would involve throw up and trauma bonding? Then, because why not make things even more messed up, they get drunk. Stewie decides he needs a piercing, and Brian, clearly in a great place mentally, agrees to do it. The result? Hilarious and painful.
Oh, wow. Oh. What is it? It's stuck.
Just a couple of idiots getting drunk and doing piercings in a bank vault. A true testament to their friendship. Then, after some chocolate bars, Stewie asked about why he had a gun in his vault.
I keep it in case I ever want to commit suicide, okay?
So yeah, this episode takes a major emotional turn. And by the end, both of them are drunk, traumatized, and covered in a bunch of regrettable decisions. Now, let's jump into number 3, where things go from mall trip to holiday hit job in under 30 minutes. So, Stewie and Brian head to the mall to see Santa. Sounds sweet, right? Well, they realise the line is longer than a CVS receipt, and boom, there's Quagmire of all people.
Glenn? Glenn Quagmire? Wow, what are you doing here?
Oh, hi, Brian. Just waiting for Santa like everyone else.
Because nothing says family holiday spirit like Quagmire lurking around a mall Santa. Brian tries to charm Quagmire's niece, a real smooth move, but ends up making her cry. Great job, Brian, ruining Christmas and childhood innocence in one shot. Finally, it's Stewie's turn. He's been waiting forever, and when he gets up there, Santa just pieces out. Back home, Stewie's not letting this slide. He wants to go to the North Pole and give Santa a little feedback.
Right, driving you where?
To the North Pole to see Santa Claus. If that beslubbering onion-eyed maggot pie thinks he could just blow me off like that, he's got another thing coming.
Nothing like Shakespearean-level trash talk with a side of holiday rage. Brian's obviously not down for a snowy road trip, but Stewie's packing heat, so off they go. And then, bam, car crash. Merry crisis.
Stewie, you're not gonna find him.
You do what you want, Brian, but I am going to the North Pole and I'm gonna kill that bastard.
Eventually, they actually make it to the North Pole, and spoiler alert, Santa's not exactly thriving. He looks like he just crawled out of a retirement home horror movie. Brian and Stewie are worried about looking at his miserable situation where he prefers dying.
I loved my work, and they loved me, but it just got out of hand. The world's population kept growing and growing.
Well, it seems like Santa's burnt out and capitalism crushed his soul. Relatable. So now Stewie's standing there, threatening a sad, broken Santa, while Brian decides to save Christmas because, well, someone has to.
We can't keep this pace up anymore. If he goes out tonight, he'll die.
Well, then who's gonna deliver all the presents?
We will.
And when they get back, Christmas is officially ruined.
The reason there was no Christmas this year is that this man is sick. Very sick. And he needs our help.
So yeah, what started as a cute mall trip turned into a revenge mission with guns, trauma, and a dying Santa. But hey, at least Brian and Stewie bonded, right? Moving on to another greatest episode, this time featuring Chris, Meg, and Peter turning a high school into a full-blown disaster zone. Chris and Meg come home from school looking like they just had a hard time. Apparently, their principal made them write essays about how cool he is, and their parents had to sign it off.
I think he's going through a tough time. He's in the middle of a bad divorce.
What? How do you know that?
He's actually been pretty open about it.
Ah, yes. Nothing screams emotionally stable adult like trauma dumping on teenagers during second period. Eventually, things somehow got worse, and the school board had to call an emergency meeting to address the concerns of students regarding the principal's behaviour. During the emergency committee meeting, Peter has a genius idea, obviously, because if there's one thing this school needs, it's Peter Griffin shedding skin flakes in the hallway. Lois and Meg immediately sense danger, like nuclear level danger, but the committee's desperate and Peter's, well, Peter.
Any volunteers?
I'll be your new principal.
Wonderful. Why don't you come on up and introduce yourself?
And just like that, the school was bound to hit rock bottom, fast. The next morning, Chris strolls in with the energy of a kid who knows the family name is forever ruined.
Why was this Listerine in the garbage?
Oh, your father says he doesn't need it anymore now that he's a high school principal.
Meanwhile, Meg tries to talk sense into Peter, but he's already deep into principal cosplay, complete with a special high-five technique, because obviously, priorities.
Chris, if I may.
Yay!
Things go from dumb to dangerous when Peter sees Meg getting soaked in grape juice by some kids at school. Dad rage mode activated.
Hey, stupid! What the hell are you doing? That's my daughter.
Yeah? What are you gonna do about it?
What am I gonna do about it? I'll knock your teeth down your throat and out your butt, you little bastard.
Congratulations, Peter. You finally acted like a dad by threatening a minor. Meg, realizing she has a new human bulldozer on call, starts using him to crush her enemies. Absolute villain arc.
And he called you fat.
Oh, I'm gonna squish him.
That's right. Don't take any crap from anyone.
Meg Griffin, the new Regina George, but with a dad-shaped weapon. Eventually, Peter's reign of terror ends when the committee steps in, probably after one too many students filed complaints labelled, "Help!" And that is how Peter got dethroned by a guy who needed international hookup therapy to recover from a divorce. Just another day at James Woods High, where education goes to die and Peter Griffin goes to play pretend. Let's move on to another great episode where the Griffins couldn't stay away from trouble for long. A new restaurant just opened, and Peter and Lois couldn't wait to try it. It was called His and Her Restaurant, which already sounds like trouble.
Check it out. I can drink beer, watch sports, and play Papa-Shot right here at the table.
And I can drink wine and scroll through Bonnie's Facebook.
Ah yes, beer for him, wine for her, and roast sessions for Bonnie's baby. Over at the Griffin house, Brian was trying to write, but the noise outside was driving him nuts. He stormed out, ready to yell at someone, only to find Stewie supervising a construction project.
Oh yeah, check it out. I'm having these guys put up a treehouse. Sort of like a man cave / dance studio kind of deal.
A man cave and a dance studio. That's something. Once the treehouse was done, Stewie gave Brian and Chris a full tour. He was proud. They were not. Of course, once they left, they went full roast mode.
Oh, is that what he was saying? I couldn't hear a word over those floorboards creaking.
Oh my god, Creek City.
Stewie built his dream and they called it a dump. Harsh. Meanwhile, Peter and Lois went to a sex therapist. Lois learned a hypnosis trick to control Peter during their private time. And yeah, it worked.
You really don't remember? Wow, that hypnosis works.
When love fails, just hack your husband's brain. Works every time. Back in Treehouse Land, Stewie took the hint and gave the place a full makeover. He invited the guys back, sure that they'd love it this time. Stewie felt great for 5 minutes, then he heard this.
It's like he Googled man cave and said, that. I mean, Nolan Ryan?
Oh, I no, I know.
All that work and it still looked like a sad Pinterest fail. Later on, Peter and Lois visited her parents. Peter accidentally heard his hypnosis trigger word again. Not the best timing. Yep, that's what happens when you let your brain get hacked. Meanwhile, Stewie had enough. He lured Brian and Chris back to the treehouse, then tied them up like a tiny villain. This was no longer a treehouse. This was Revenge HQ. Brian and Chris panicked, but managed to sweet talk their way out. They said they'd throw a big party there. Stewie bought it.
I can't believe he bought it!
Poor Stewie. New treehouse, same old heartbreak. Next episode kicks off with a fancy dress day at Stewie's preschool. All the dads show up in suits, except Peter, who rocks a denim shirt. Later on, Stewie's playing with a classmate when a teacher named Andy proudly introduces something new.
One person hides in a top secret spot, and the others count to 10, then try and find him.
The gathering also has a charity auction. The final prize is a romantic weekend in Vermont. Lois bids a ridiculous amount.
I have $600 taped to my stomach.
$600.
Sold!
Back at home, Stewie hides under a blanket, and Brian suggests trying something better. Inspired, Stewie hides in the fridge. Brian finds him and gives him a life lesson, plus a little punishment.
Don't ever hide in there. Could you even breathe?
No, it's a good thing you were looking for me. Stewie, no. Very bad.
Later, Stewie asks him to play again. Brian agrees, but sets a few safety rules. Next thing you know, Stewie sees a suitcase outside and climbs in. Quagmire grabs it, unaware of the surprise inside. Once in Paris, Quagmire finds Stewie while digging through his stuff and calls Lois.
Well, I just flew to Paris, and Stewie was somehow in my suitcase. He must have snuck in there.
Oh my God, is he okay?
His parents prefer their visit over his safety, and Stewie had to stay with Quagmire. Quagmire checks into a hotel. Meanwhile, Lois and Peter go full influencer. Lois tries to pose on a cliff, then immediately regrets it.
You know what? Tiny step forward.
Back in Paris, Quagmire and Stewie actually start bonding and having a pretty good time. Then, things go sideways. Stewie wanders off drunk and gets lost following a girl. Quagmire freaks out and calls Brian.
I lost Stewie in Paris. We got separated and I can't find him.
Brian joins the search and eventually finds Stewie crying in a cemetery, and he praises the hiding spot. Moving on to the next one, where Chris Griffin ends up having a girlfriend. Chris gets back from camp and the whole family's there to welcome him. Chris jumps straight into spilling secrets. Lois asks how camp went, and Chris drops a bomb.
I got a girlfriend. She's smoking hot, and she has some off-the-chart scary political views, but largely because of the smoking hot thing.
Because nothing says true love like ignoring red flags for a pretty face. Later on, Lois snaps at Peter for leaving wet swimsuits under the stairs again. Peter brushes it off, while Chris suddenly turns into a discount life coach.
Remember, Dad, never question your wife's choices. After all, you were one of them.
Chris Griffin coming in hot with unsolicited advice and misplaced confidence. Peter starts bragging to the guys about Chris's mystery girlfriend, but Quagmire's not buying it. Right, Peter's soggy swim trunks strike again. Lois slips, loses it, and hurls them at him. Peter tries guilt-tripping his way out, but Chris has another nugget of wisdom ready.
Hey, Dad, rule number 1, your wife is always right. Rule number 2, if your wife is wrong, please refer to rule number 1.
Next, Peter demands proof that this girlfriend actually exists because of his sneaky behaviour. Chris fumbles a bit, then pulls out a photo. Chris really went with the Canadian coffee model as his cover story. Meanwhile, Meg and Lois both start throwing themselves at a handsome handyman. Jamie gets electrocuted and dies. At his funeral, his identical twin shows up. Lois tries her luck again and fails spectacularly. Lois, proving persistence doesn't always pay off. Desperate to expose the truth, Peter drags Chris all the way to Canada to meet the girlfriend. When they get to the supposed house, Peter admits he once faked a Canadian girlfriend too, because, shocker, he was a fat loser in high school. Finally, Chris's girlfriend comes out, but he has to lie to keep Peter happy. A father-son moment built on lies, delusion, and a cross-border road trip. Truly the stuff of family sitcom dreams. These were the most liked and greatest episodes of Family Guy. Which one was your favourite? Let me know in the comments down below. Remember to like and subscribe. Bye for now, I'll see you in the next one.